not prepared!
Welcome to another Top 5 with Kris 05, guys. Today we're gonna check out what are the best performing decks in week 2 of March. There are plenty of good decks to choose from, but 5 definitely stand out. So in this video we will check out what's their overall strategy, win rates, mulligan guide for them, and we will also check out what are the best performing archetypes for each individual class, so stick around to the end. Now let's start off with the first deck, which again is gonna be Burn Shaman, and more importantly the version I have been using for a couple of weeks now. You can check out some of my games with this Burn Shaman, and as you can see I'm actually the one that has the highest rank with it too, so that's kinda cool. The main difference for this version from all of the other versions is we're running only one chill, so we can fit in a Fireheart in here as well as a Rooster Viper. Fireheart can definitely win you games which you were not supposed to win, and Viper, well, you know what that's in here for. There are plenty of very impactful weapons in the meta, so having a way to deal with those really helps. And in the end of the day, it's just card draw in any other scenario. The deck is definitely not very easy to master, but once you get the hang of it, you're gonna be winning like crazy with it. Against board-centric matchups, you want to be controlling the board early so you can set up for some Snowfall Guardian action, followed up with Macaws, which usually gives you 4 permafreezes in a row, which is more than enough for you to connect phase for over 30. If you're not against the board-centric matchup, your secondary plan will be to burn them to death, usually in an OTK fashion. As soon as turn 7, 8, or usually 9, you get to have a ton of damage with all of your cheap overload spells, a bunch of spell power, and overdraft, and you should be able to go well over 30 damage like that. In your early turns, you usually want to be swarming the board with your Wildpaw Caverns, which happens more often than not before turn 2, because with Lightning Bloom and Coin, this could literally be your turn 1, which is usually GG right then and there. We also have Brukan for some extra damage and healing and overall flexibility, and the rest is basically standard stuff. Matchup wise, we're switching over to the a lot more populated list without Fireheart, and as you can see, Quest Hunter is gonna be a problem, Quest Fel DH as well because they get to glide your hand, Big Priest might be iffy, and Control Warriors are by far your worst matchup. For the mulligan, when going first, Sleet Breaker is gonna be your best 2-drop, Wildpaw Caverns is also insane, and Lightning Bloom also makes the cut as well. Primordial Studies is also an excellent keep because this is your only arcane spell, so Multicaster loves that, and depending on the matchup, you might even consider keeping something like Landslide. When going second, it's basically the same stuff. Wildpaw Caverns, Bloom, and again, depending on what you're expecting against you, Landslide can be great, Sleet Breaker is always great, Multicaster is a lot more keepable when going second, but make sure not to be keeping both Multicaster and Wildpaw Caverns in the same hand, especially if you already don't have the Bloom, cause you definitely want to get the Bloom for Caverns. All in all, the deck is very strong, very cheap, and very effective. So if you're up for the challenge to actually learning how to play this one, it's gonna take you pretty far, and it's not gonna cost you much either. Brukan is your only legendary, and he's a no-brainer craft if you enjoy the Shaman class, so there's that. For other good Shaman lists, we have Freeze Elemental Shaman, Aggro as well, Boner is somewhere in here as well, and also Quest Shaman is still doing its thing too. Before we get into the next deck, again, I'd like to say a huge thank you to today's video sponsor, Gemstone Legends. This really helps me keep on giving you guys top quality top 5 videos and Hearthstone tips and guides alike. Gemstone Legends is a beautiful RPG puzzle game with amazing lore and fun gameplay too. It has a cool twist to the traditional match-free colors puzzle games, which we've seen in the past, but here you get to do 3 moves per turn, and you also have to pay attention to what opponents you're fighting, so you can maximize your damage. You can do some really cool combos like this, and dare I say, Gemstone Legends has even shinier colors and prettier pictures than Hearthstone. You can use my code to download the game for free, both on iOS and on Android, and as you can see, the game has outstanding reviews on both stores, so it's definitely worth the check. The games are fast and action-packed. There are dozens of different characters, tons of artifacts to upgrade them with, and you even have pet dragons. You also receive $50 worth of prizes using my code, so what are you waiting for? Download Gemstone Legends now. Okay, so the next deck on the list is gonna be Beast Druid. Beast Druid has been an amazing archetype for quite a while now, and right now this is one of the best versions of it. We have the typical Beast Druid core in here, but we also have a couple of Trogs and also Pride's Fury. Trogs are really gonna help you a lot against spell heavy decks, whereas Pride's Fury is gonna help you against Burn Shamans. And not only, because it does give you a lot of health on your boards, so it's gonna make it a lot more resilient. In order to fit these cards in, we've removed the draw package for the choose one spells, which was feeling a bit iffy as is. You still have a ton of beasts which discount your Frost Saber Matriarch, and you have several spells as well, so you can discount your Umbral Owls too. Oracle Balloon helps you split those big boys up, and with Arbor Up and Price Fury, you're gonna get tons of stats with them too. The tricky part here is playing against Burn Shamans with this deck, and the way you will have to be trying to win those is by filling the board with Taunt minions so you don't actually get board locked by Snowfall Guardians and after that smorked down, without you being able to do anything meaningful. Filling the board with Taunt minions and buffing them up with Pride's Fury guarantees that the Snowfall Big Guardians are actually gonna have to take those out before smorking you down, so you are gonna have a chance to retaliate. Matchup wise, like I said, Burn Shaman is gonna be pretty tricky, Taunt Druid also has an edge over you, Aggro Shadow Priest might be a bit too fast, and Control Warrior is gonna control you. Duh. Going first, you will be looking for your good 1-drops. Kennels, if you already have good 1-drops, you can also keep Adorable Infestation, which discounts both your Umbral Owl and Frost Saber Matriarch. Formgrove Sentries is pretty good, and Druid of the Reef is pretty flexible too. Composting might also not be a bad keep for you, but try to keep it with an already good developing hand. When on the coin, it looks pretty similar, but also Nature Studies becomes a lot more keepable. A cool thing you could be doing with Nature Studies is actually set up for a good turn 4 Arbor Up, but the rest looks pretty much the same. Oracle of Elune in this deck is a lot less keepable because the main reason you are running the Oracle in here is so you can split up the big beasts, which usually happens around turn 5. So that is when you will want to be top decking this Oracle. This list is actually running 0 legendaries, so it's definitely a very good choice for the budget Hearthstone players. And it is actually one of the best Beast Druid decks out there too. So it's not really a budget cut, this is actually one of the optimal lists. Also, the free epics in here are not rotating either, so you're safe to craft those too. Moving now to the next deck on the list, which is again gonna be a Druid. Right now the game is called Druidstone, and we have a good reason for that. We have 4 very strong Druid archetypes right now, and these 2 are 2 of the main ones. Here we have Ramp Kazakhstan Druid with Raid Boss Onyxia and Malagos as well. This deck is full of ramp and card draw, and you have a good amount of armor gain as well. You have a few reactive tools in the face of Lunar Eclipse, Scale of Onyxia, and also Raid Boss Onyxia herself, and your main game plan is to survive long enough so you can go for Kazakhstan and draw out the insane treasures. By the way, the nerf didn't do anything, like literally absolutely anything. The deck is still pretty strong, the treasures are still OP, and your win rate is gonna be skyrocketing, as long as you're not facing too much aggro. And even if you are, you're still gonna have a decent chance, especially with Solar Eclipse into Cenarian Ward. Matchup wise, the fast Druid decks are not gonna be great for you, same as Face Hunter and Drekthar Hunter. Buff Paladin is also pretty tricky, as well as Aggro Shadow Priest, which is one of your worst matchups. Poison and Quest Rogue are a little below 50, and Zoo Warlock is also pretty fast for you, but you're never gonna see a Zoo Lock now, are you? Mulligan wise, when going first and second, Wildcard Guff is always gonna be an insane keep. Nature Studies also helps you do your game plan a bit faster, Overgrowth and Lightning Bloom are also great, Guess the Weight also helps you draw out faster, and Wild Growth in Kazakhstan. If you're facing some aggro, you might also keep Lunar Eclipse. When on the coin, it's pretty much the same. For some reason, Raid Boss Onyxia is also pretty high on the keep list. I think that's kind of wrong, and perhaps it's gonna be matchup dependent. Kazakhstan is pretty high, again, a lot of ramp, and even cards like Cenarian Ward are pretty high, so yeah, keep that in mind. All in all, this deck is a little bit on the expensive side. Aside from Malagos, which is a core card, Guff is a no-brainer craft, and Kazakhstan and Onyxia are from the mini set, so those are actually for free, if you bought the mini set, which you should have. Guess the Weight and Cenarian Ward are both rotating, but if you didn't have them by now, it's probably best you don't craft them anymore. For other good Druid decks, we also have Spell Druid, as well as Taunt Druid, and those are basically the 4 Druid archetypes you should be going for right now. Next up, we have the new quest Drekthar Hunter, which has also been taking the meta by storm. Drekthar does an excellent job of thinning out your deck, and also putting a ton of tempo in the early turn 3 or turn 4. We are running the new Dragonbane shot, which is an excellent inclusion in the quest deck, because it gives you a lot of free quest progression. Furious Hell is also insanely good in this deck, because it gives you a ton of steam right when you most need it. We also have room for Professor Slate in here, but it's definitely not a must craft for you, and you can change it for something else. Downos is also in here for a little bit of extra spell power and card draw, and again it is something you could be pulling from Drekthar. And we also have Carrion Studies, which feels a little bit weird honestly, and it is a flex pick for you if you want to be including something else. For the matchups, Ramp and Spell Druid are on the iffy side, Paladins are also not great, Miracle Priest is gonna be pretty fast for you as well, but the rest is pretty decent. Mulligan wise, Drekthar is always gonna be a keep. Piercing Shot this high on the keep, that is definitely a bait. Can somebody in the comments tell me what the hell is happening here? Wound Prey definitely good, Dragon Bait Shot as well. Carrion Studies, it's kinda tricky again. I'd rather be using this one on the later turns after the quest completion, but I guess it could give you some tempo against certain classes. Ringling Rifle ain't too bad, Quick Shot and Overwhelm are pretty decent, and Arcane Shot as well. When on the coin, again Drekthar, Wound Prey, Arcane Shot, and even Explosive Trap, because you are gonna be going second, so your opponent is gonna be developing and hitting in. Dragon Bane Shot and Quick Shot still pretty good, but the rest are probably not that amazing. Overwhelm and Bola Shot could be situational. This deck seemingly looks like it's on the expensive side, but let's not forget Talnos is a core card, Drekthar we got for free, and Professor Slate, like I said, is definitely far from core. Ringling Rifle, honestly I think you could change this one up as well, but obviously the quest is gonna be staying. For other good Hunter decks, we also have Just Quest Hunter, and Face Hunter is still doing pretty strong too. There's also a positive Beast Hunter out there, but the rest is basically iterations of those four. And on the number 5 spot, again, we have Aggro Shadow Priest, just because it's so good against Druidstone. Aggro Shadow Priest is an insanely fast deck right now, and games can actually end as soon as turn 4. I did do a detailed guide about this one, with also coaching included into it, so you can definitely check that one out if you want to see the details about this deck. Matchup wise, here's what it looks like. Demon Hunters are not gonna be that great most of the time, Quest Hunter as well because it's gonna remove everything you do, Beast Druid is gonna be tricky too, Control and Dragon Priest, whatever that is gonna be rough, Big Spell and Ping Mage as well because they again remove too much, all of the Warriors and most of the Shamans as well, and LTK Warlock ain't too great either. But yeah, usually it's a great deck for you to climb from rank 5 to Legend. Mulligan wise, you want to be keeping your good cheap 1-drops, and also Wriggling Core makes a lot of sense, and Defy Slapper would be great for you, especially if you already have raised that for instance. When on the coin, it's pretty much the same, but you could also keep Najak here because he would be a huge tempo play for you. And you could even coin him out as soon as turn 3 to steal a chunky minion from the opponent and keep on smoking face. This deck is definitely on the expensive side, and we are running Najak in here, which feels really good, but you can definitely change him up for something faster and cheaper. We have 3 other legendaries in here, and only 1 epic, so if you have most of those, it might be worth the shot. The good news is none of these legendaries are rotating, so it's actually fine to craft them if you really want to play this deck. For other good priest decks, we have Big Priest, Miracle Priest is very strong and skilled hands, and also Control Priest with Kazakhstan. For the classes I didn't mention today, for Demon Hunter, we have Death Rattle Demon Hunter doing okay from Diamond to Legend. There are also some new aggro Demon Hunter decks out there. This one looks particularly interesting with Lady Prestor in it. Fel Demon Hunter and Quest Fel Demon Hunter are gonna be the competitive decks here, which are definitely not easy to master, but they're the best performing ones in higher Legend, and some iterations for those. With Mage, for the lower ranks, Big Spell Mage is gonna be your best bet, but for higher Legend, Mazaki Mage is actually still king. Big Mage is also doable. For Paladin, we have either Libram Paladin or Buff Paladins at the top. With Rogue, Quest Rogue is gonna be the best performing one. There's also some kind of a stealth weapon rogue doing okay, Thief Rogue is fine, and also Poison Rogue at top ratings. With Warlock, it's either Quest Canned Warlock or LTK Warlock. Apparently also Zoo is somewhat back in town. I'm assuming because it spanks slower druids, and there's also Control Agony Warlocks. But yeah, basically, you either go for Quest Canned or LTK if you're serious for ranks. And for Warrior, we have Control Warrior with Kazakhstan and the Dragon package, or also Control Charge Warrior, and Pirate Warrior is still doing fine, even though the play rate has definitely dropped. So that's gonna be it for this top 5, guys. Hope this helps you figure out what you want to be playing in the last few weeks of this Hearthstone year. Don't forget to check out Gemstone Legends and download it from the link in the description. And also, don't forget you can hire me for some Hearthstone coaching to Legend. Thanks for watching, I'm Kris05, and I'll see you in my next video or stream.